first thing, we're level 2 now. You guys completed the first big objective. You guys have gotten to the school. You won the competition, which was one of my metrics for leveling you guys up. And you guys got the rest of the day to sort of chill and hang out, spend some time on campus, get acquainted with people if you'd like, and even potentially speak to your roommates, which I think some people had some plans about that. So I say if you guys want to have that done sort of the day before, we can go ahead and figure out what you guys talked about.
I want to talk to Billy.
I wanted to talk to Delphina.
I'm going to tackle that one first. Delphina does not come back to the room that night. You don't see her again that day.
What's she
I
doing?
see how it is.
What is she doing?
Finding squirrels or something. I
That's
don't know.
a great question. What is she
She's about
doing?
to walk back the next morning.
Walk of shame on day one? That's
Day
wild.
one.
Okay. Lucian, you said you wanted to talk to Billy or your roommate?
Billy.
Cool. You find Billy around Saroche Hall later that evening after he's been healed up, and he's walking around with his two friends, Simon and Elvin, obviously. But you catch him as they're walking around, and he sort of sees you as he's walking through the hallway and stops, and he just goes, "Ugh, what do you want?"
For a moment, I'm like regretting my decision to just talk to anybody, especially this guy. But then I kind of shake my head a little and say, I just don't agree with what happened. And I really don't want you to have this impression of me. The way Marcel treated you, I disagree with. And I want you to know that.
Well, thanks, but... there's no but. Just thanks. I appreciate the sentiment.
There's not a lot of wizards that I've seen in our class, right? Our year, but I would hate to make a permanent enemy with one, especially one with as much talent as you, right? So I just want to say that I'm sorry on behalf of at least me.
Well... He turns and looks at Nelvin, and he's like, maybe this guy isn't so bad after all. You said your name was Lucian?
Lucien de Lave.
All right, Lucian. I'll see you in class, and maybe I don't have to, hide traps in your room now. It's good to know.
That would be good. I mean, you really don't want to see Marcel again, do you?
No, I do not.
Please, no traps in my room, then.
Good call. Adios, amigo. And he heads out and sort of leaves you. And the other two look at you, and you see like a look of thanks across their face. And Nelvin looks at you and he's like, "You're all right, man. You're all right."
You too.
And they leave you be.
As soon as they walk away, I shake with just cringe of that. Just people. I don't like people, and that was a lot of people. And I'm gonna go to class now.
For sure. Absolutely. See, I would say you don't go to class quite yet. We're winding down the day. You get ready for bed. Your roommate comes in, not late, but probably just a little bit before time for bed, so you guys don't have a lot of time to talk. There would be a little bit if you want to, but it might not also be the best time. Anybody else?
The only other thing that probably Lucien would do, just real quick before he goes to bed, is I would very, very clearly cast alarm in front of Denny as he came into the room on my side of the room.
He sees that, and he gives you a little nod, almost like a nod of understanding, as he's just like, That's totally fair. Clear boundaries. He's fine with that. So he kind of leaves you alone that night, doesn't bother you at all, gets his stuff in order, gets ready for bed, and goes to sleep.
For Marcel, he wouldn't be talking to his roommates for obvious reason, but he will, for on his wall, where the wall he can see, he'll actually put carved down, won the game, best year yet. There you go.
Sure. So Roche Hall, which is notoriously like very clean and neat and nice, now has a carving in the wall around Marcel's bed. For sure. I like it. Anybody else? Last call?
Kieran's going to see if his goblin friend's there.
Yeah, Thatch comes back to the room. This little goblin man. He's done a little bit more like rearranging. He's shortened his bed down a little bit, even has it at like a little bit of a tilt where the legs aren't perfectly even. But he like has this wood and he's like carving a little, it looks like a little figurine of like a dog or a wolf on his desk. But he comes in later that evening and he's like, "Oh, hey man, how's it going?"
I'm wonderful. How are you doing today?
Great. So listen, I had some notes that I wanted to give you. So this grappling hook idea, I can make a grappling hook. That's easy. That's not hard. It's gonna be hard to make it sort of like shoot out of a crossbow. That's not easy because the grappling hook can't weigh too much or else the bolt doesn't go very far. But then if it doesn't weigh enough, he can't pull you. Could you lose 60 to 75 pounds?
How about this? I drop 40 gold in front of him. Figure it out.
I'll keep researching. I'll keep finding this out. And he takes it, he goes back to his desk, flips his goggles down, and takes out some, like, schematics and plans that are on paper, and he starts, like, doing some math and calculating. He's like, okay, if I make the grappling hook, 3 bells.
Mr. Thatch, quick question.
Yeah.
Are you any good at making smoke bombs?
If you could bring me the supplies, they might be a little bit expensive. I don't know.
Do you know any suppliers in this school?
Here? No.
I guess I have some investigating to do.
Yeah, if you find any suppliers of, like, any explosive powder in any region near here, you let me know.
Of course, we'll know the supplier ourselves. Thank you very much for trying, though.
Yeah. And he goes back down to working on these schematics.
I just wanted to find Asta, the barbarian girl that I threatened.
She's
and just
in your
tell her
hall.
that I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you go and you like knock on her door. She opens it and she's in like some more casual clothes. She's got her hair like braided behind her. She opens the door and she's just like, "Oh, hey man, what do you want?"
I just wanted to say that it was a good fight, and I'm sorry if tempers flared in the middle of it, and I don't want us to have any ill will, and I would look forward to training with you again if we had the opportunity.
Sure. I mean, it's all part of the game, right? And she sort of like punches you on the shoulder a little bit. She says, "Hopefully I'll see you in class. You know, if we have
Probably.
any that overlap."
Maybe. I'm sure marshals will train together quite a bit.
I hope so. All right, well, no hard feelings, kid. And she pulls the door shut.
Cool. Gonna go to bed now. I'm tired.
For the rest of you, Athera, your roommate Kata comes back. If you would let her, she would talk your ear off about the day that they had. Her party was chaotic. Are you gonna be like, "Nah, I'm getting ready for bed," or are you gonna listen?
No, I will sit there and quietly listen.
Sure. She talks to you, like trying to make this friendship, this bond thing happen, and she's like, "Yeah, so some of the people in my party, there was these 2 guys, there was a half-orc and this like tan guy, he's really attractive, and they just got in this huge big fight, and they're acting all macho and trying to like be the coolest person there, and then the whole thing just fell apart. But I made another cool friend, her name's Barry, she's a bard, so, you know, silver linings."
Yeah, that sounds cool. I mean,
we didn't
Barry
win.
sounds like better than the 2 guys, so.
Yeah, by a lot. Anyway, she continues like giving you details about what they did and how they were arguing and stuff until eventually you guys get ready and go to bed. Gwen, like I said, your roommate does not come back that night. Delphina is nowhere to be seen. Maybe that's a good thing. Kieran's talked to Thatch. Leo, Sivik comes back pretty late, fairly tired, gives you a like, "We'll catch up another time," and he just kind of crashes and goes to sleep. Marcel, you have a strange and awkward night as Nelvin comes back in and he... Give me an insight check, actually, for how Nelvin would feel about you.
All right.
Just for clarity, was Nelvin the white-haired dude or the orange-haired dude?
White hair guy.
The guy that
14.
he shot in the face?
Yeah. Nelvin comes back in and he's got like a bruise on his forehead that's fading from being healed. He just sort of like awkwardly shuffles around, and on a 14 insight, you get the feeling that it's not that he necessarily is angry or upset. You feel like he's being awkward because he thinks you're potentially like angry or upset at him for that whole fight scenario, but he's just gonna leave you alone unless you interact with him.
Hey, what up, man?
Oh, hey, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good, Donovan. How are you doing?
Oh, so close. Not bad. My head feels a lot better. You're really good at magic, by the way. That hurt.
Yeah, no, I'm getting better. Kind of, not the best. Lucian, though, that guy is going to be really good in the future. I can tell.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I didn't see him cast anything. I was actually kind of surprised.
Nah, he works more on like books and stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
I gotta give him some credit.
Yeah, sure.
But for fights, that's my deal. So, and no hard feelings on the whole hating. I wasn't angry at you, but it was like we're kind of like doing a little combat. I was aiming at Billy because he burned me alive. That little bit of a sore spot I could tell, but you didn't really do nothing to me. And you're just doing what you thought for best for the. I mean, everyone was trying to win. Fair enough.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was just a friendly competition, right? I don't think it needs to affect us moving forward. Should be fine. But I do want to say, like, I'm sorry for that whole fiasco that was Billy's idea, and I wasn't all for like trying to fight another squad. I heard some other groups did that, and it didn't end too well. Nobody died, thankfully, but a lot of people had to visit the nurse's office today.
Yeah, definitely. Atomic Wedgie. That's the fun one.
Yeah.
Just think it to yourself. But yeah,
Billy is not happy about that.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think a little bit of that was his fault for wanting to initiate the fight, so
No, it's fine.
I don't think there can be too much flack there.
Yeah, so I mean, we're cool, Donovan. Don't worry. I'm not gonna mess with you or anything. I don't do that. People don't deserve it.
Yeah. Sure. Well, hey, I hope I'll see you around in classes, right?
Yeah, don't worry about Donovan. See you too.
All right. Good night, man. And he
Good night.
shakes his head and turns back to his bed, and you hear him murmur just like, Donovan? And he goes to sleep. And I believe that's everybody. Rosari's Pietro probably doesn't get back until you're asleep. So you don't really interact with him that night. But let's move on to the next day. It is going to be y'all's first day in class. The setup that we're looking at is all of the students are essentially just visiting their professors and doing like introductory things, going over like the syllabus essentially, getting acquainted with each other before all the second and third years get here. And then you guys don't have it, but all of the other students have every single day. They're going to their homeroom class, which is where they do like forming parties and learning how to work together, which you guys are exempt from these first couple of days for. So congratulations on that end. On the other end, if you guys would like to all give me a flat D20 roll, let's see whose class we're gonna go to first. And while you guys are rolling, I will go ahead and set the scene. We're gonna start the next day around lunchtime. A lot of the people are getting out of their like homeroom classes in the morning. But you guys, exempt from that, get to like sleep in, go around campus, study even, whatever you'd like to do. And Rosari's, you meet up with Kata for lunch. She is there with Barry, And I'm going to go ahead and pull up their pictures again just so we can see them. So they're sitting there. They actually look kind of similar. Like, they clicked so fast. They are both bards. They're both getting along. The main difference that you would notice is, like, Kata, as friendly and extroverted as she is, Barry is the complete opposite. She is shy and doesn't like to talk to people. But you come into the cafeteria, Kata waves you down, make sure you and Barry are, like, acquainted with each other, and you guys are sitting there talking. The rest of you guys slowly file in for lunch. I'm going to say when Kata sees Athera, she's also going to wave Athera over. I'm assuming
I'll go over.
Cool. On the way there, Kata's going to lean over to you, Rosaris, and whisper and say, hey, so your roommate? Total jackass. How's mine looking?
She's a lot nicer than my roommate. I go easy on her. She's a little more quiet.
She sort of gives you a look, and then you guys have that, like, understanding, and she's like, gotcha, cool. So you know your roommate is, like, not a person to necessarily want to be in your inner circle, but you're saying...
Would I know if he did something specifically to her, given that he tried to make things happen with the half work when I walked in the room?
You get the vibe that he might have flirted with her, but obviously nothing happened. And she's even going to go into detail, like, Athera, you sit down, and Kata's like, oh my god, I have to tell you guys about this. And she goes on a long rant about how Pietro and this guy named Laric got in this huge fight while they were off doing the scavenger hunt thing that she told Athera about last night. And she tells you, Rosario, she's like, yeah, your roommate's a real piece of work. Him and this Laric guy do not get along. As they're sitting there talking, the rest of you guys file in. Would you like to join the table where everybody seems to be eating?
With pleasure. I'm gonna swoop right in, right beside Rosaries, actually.
For sure. And I'll let you guys take it from there. You can file in whenever you'd like.
Marcel would shoot like an Eldritch Blast. Whoa! Marcel's in the house!
A hole busts through the ceiling. Some lunch lady yells, hey! Someone's got to fix that.
Oh no.
Why did you do that,
lost
Lucia?
all your winning money.
Kieran's gonna put a hand on Rosaries. Oh, you have such wonderful friends you're sitting with. Why don't you introduce me? I don't know if we've all met yet. We're all friends here now, right? After we beat up the nerds and all that.
Kata looks at you guys. She's like, oh my god, I heard about that. Please tell me you guys, like, got him good. I heard that he was terrible.
Well, your friend here didn't want me to touch him, but I made sure he won't be making that mistake ever again.
You can tell me all about that. After hearing and experiencing some of the things that went down with our group last night, I think I need a little bit of positivity, a little bit of, success to keep me motivated.
Well, you see, I was off scouting, and I didn't see the first bit of it. But what I heard was my party got ambushed by these nerds. I don't know what they couldn't do, but they were struggling. They couldn't keep up with any of the bolts of fire going around, the blazes going around their bodies. It was chaotic. Then I heard them from the sidelines. I thought, they need my aid. And I ran up to them and lodged a bolt right into the guy's shoulder, and made sure he'll never use that again to fire a bolt at one of my friends.
Kata is obviously, like, leaning into it, and she's just like, yeah? No way. Oh my god, yes. And she's, like, interacting. Barry's sitting there just kind of, like, enjoying the story. Anyone else can approach and sit down and listen while this is happening, and even, like, pitch in if you want to. But at the end of this, Kata's just like, sorry, you're telling me that you had the opportunity to, like, embarrass that kid and you didn't?
My friend Marcel did more than enough for me.
You see underneath the table, there's a thumbs up, and it's the thumbs that goes back in. I'm hiding. The lunch lady scares me.
Oh, you realize that, like, we have... Kata is, like, talking to you. She's like, you realize that they have, like, wizards who can fly and cast mending on the ceiling, right? Like, that's going to take minimal effort for them to fix.
I know.
She was just telling you not to do it again, basically. You should be fine. You're okay.
That's what they all say.
All right, well, if someone accidentally kicks you, don't blame me.
Ah!
Anyway, so she continues chatting with you guys. Does anyone else specifically not join the table?
I won't.
What is Gwen doing then?
She's gonna see if she can try to find her roommate.
You continue to look for your roommate. You don't find her.
Dang, she's just gone. Then I'll find the table with the other dragonborn I met.
All right.
That like white one, Beatrice, I think her name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have who all is sitting at her table just handy, but you meet up with Beatrice. She is super friendly, super nice to you. She like offers you a seat, like pulls your chair out, introduces you to just a couple of people that she was sitting with that she met yesterday that seemed cool. Definitely not the two guys that you guys have heard about, but yeah, you go chill with them, and they seem to be like a fun social group.
All right. Well, I'll just chill with them for the lunch in the meanwhile.
Cool. Leo, Lucien, Athera, do you guys file into our table over here?
Lucien is not. Instead, going to pass by Marcel and kind of glare at him, and then sit with probably Nicole and.
Would you glare at him if he's hiding underneath the table?
I'm assuming
can't
people
see
can
it.
see you.
Oh.
It doesn't have like a tablecloth.
Okay, then if Lucien's like looking at Marcel would like put his hands like above the table, go, "Hey, Lucien, how you doing?"
I'm just gonna shake.
And it goes back
I'm just gonna
down.
shake my head and continue walking. And I'm gonna sit next to Neville and the other ones there. that
Cool.
I
So,
met.
yeah, you go sit next to Nelvin, Simon, and Billy. You go sit with them, and Billy is essentially just like, yeah, you know what? You're a wizard. Your group beat us in combat, but I'm not going to hold you too accountable because you're choosing to sit with us instead of them. I guess you're kind of cool. So yeah, you go sit with them. The vibe that you get from them, Billy is 100% like the leader of this group, and Nelvin and Simon just kind of like follow. Billy talks your ear off about how wizards are like the best class. Like they're the most powerful, they're the most versatile, they have the coolest shit. And Professor Isomifi Baron is here, who is his like idol. And he tells you like, I'm gonna be in all of his classes, and he's gonna teach me magic, and I'm gonna learn all of his super good spells, and I'm gonna help him like discover magic stuff, and it's gonna be great.
Lucien will like nod his head and agree with some of it, disagree with others, quietly to himself disagree, that is. And he'll just imagine the regret that Lucien feels right now as this conversation drags on.
Yeah, Lucien does not feel good about himself at all. My other two, Leo with Hira.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go sit next to Rosaris
Cool. You
and
guys
Marcel and them.
join the table with Hira.
Wasn't I already with?
You were at the table.
Ada?
Who am
Yeah.
I talking about?
Come on.
You're there. You're just so quiet that they just kind of like, oh, Athera's here. No, you guys chill at the table and talk for a little bit. You guys all like introduce, make sure everybody's well acquainted. So you guys meet Kata and Barry. Kata tells you guys that Rosaris is basically like her older brother. Barry is like her good friend that she met. Barry shyly introduces herself, and you guys have a nice little chill group here. After this lunch, you guys are going to your like orientation classes, which is what we rolled that D20 for. Who had the highest?
I had a 14.
I got a nat 20.
Ooh,
Wasted on going to class.
Yeah.
you wasted a nat 20 on going to class.
Where
That's
was that?
great.
Thanks, D&D Beyond.
Thanks, D&D Beyond. This episode is sponsored by not D&D Beyond. Maybe one day. All right.
Sponsored by Wendy's.
Sponsored by Wendy's. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
gonna
got
finish
Wendy's
that
right
joke. Let's get you in here, Izzy. All right.
Word.
So, it's just you and I. We're chilling. We're going to class. You have some ranger classes that you're going to be going to. specifically right now, you're going to 2 main classes. You have Favored Terrains with Professor Ron. You meet her, which is probably the most surprising thing that happens. Like, I'm going to pull up her picture just because I don't want to tell you. I want to show you. You meet Professor Ron, who is like a short, barely 2 feet tall mouse. But obviously she like speaks and she's very talented. She talks to you guys and she says, I'll just summarize all of this for you. She's talking about how she specializes in a lot of the like magic and nature aspects of the ranger stuff. Professor Rant, who's the other ranger professor, she's really good with like animals and hunting and stuff like that. Not Ron's forte. She tells you guys that, you know, you guys are going to be here. We're going to be talking about like the different types of terrains in this class. You guys are going to be talking about how you can survive in them and all of these things. And there's a couple other people in the class with you that I will pull up as well. You guys all do some like basic introductions to make sure that everyone like knows each other. You have Rangram is this quieter, almost brooding guy with red hair and then shaved sides of his head. He doesn't talk a lot. You have Merble, who is the half-orc girl from, you wouldn't know her, but Rosarius' room that his roommate was trying to flirt with. And then you have a fellow lizard person of some sort. You have this girl named Lecrasol, and that's all she introduces herself as. She's just very awkward. And Professor Ron has you guys sort of like sitting in a very small situation. This is a very small class. And just talking to each other about like what your experiences is in like traveling places and stuff like that. And it seems like most people here are like most familiar with the forest. And that's pretty much it. You have some chill classes.
Word.
So nothing crazy happens in your class. Your professor seems very nice. Your other professor is Professor Ranth, who I will also pull up to show you. She seems, to give her a description of her vibe, she seems like the older sister who kind of like not beats you up and pushes you around, but is like very sarcastic and sassy with you, but would also fight someone for you. You and her get along fairly well. You guys are in the favored enemies class together, and she's like, you know, hey, we're going to talk about how to hunt things and how to kill things, and it's not always the greatest, but knowing how is definitely better than not knowing how. So,
All right.
those are your professors. All right.
Sounds good.
Who was number 2?
I had a 19.
I'll
Jeez.
take it. All right, Rosaries. Actually, before we go to you, I'm going to pull in Leo. I don't care what you rolled. We're going to Leo first, and then we're going to go into this. All right, Leo.
Shit.
So a couple things. First of all, the only professor you meet is Professor Arneus, who I'm going to pull her up really quick and show to everybody. She is this kind of taller, like 5'11" or so. She's got this deep blue skin, long, sort of like pale blue, white hair. She's got these like white freckles across her face. She's very, very like, the best word I can think is like elegant. She is...
It's my wife.
She is very... you can tell that she's elven. She has like the long ears, which I forgot to Photoshop in this. Oops, sue me. But she's very like... almost ethereal. Like, even the way she talks is very, like, soft, and it seems like this woman has never experienced a, like, negative emotion in her life. You have her for... You guys are right now going to the healing ward volunteer stuff, which she's going to be showing the class around. Another kid who popped in here, his name, he introduces himself to everybody, is Ornis. He is a sort of like younger, shaggy brown hair, almost awkward, like fresh out of high school vibe kid. And then also, the other girl who's in this class is Lucilda, who sees you, and as soon as Professor Arneas is like done talking, she's like, all right, guys, well, for today, we're going to go and actually spot in on some of the other classes so that while we are getting ready for the nurse's office to be open full time and for us to be volunteering and healing people and things like that, we can get some experience to just practice this. So follow me. And she starts leading you guys through some of the hallways to a different part of the school. With that being said, Lucilda like essentially pulls you to the side, and you guys are all walking together, and she's just like, hey, Leo, I should have assumed that you would be here. I heard that you guys won. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's my fault.
I heard a lot. How much of that was true? I heard you guys like beat those wizards' asses.
Yes, that's actually true. That actually happened.
Hell yeah.
But in our defense, they attacked us first.
I mean, I was proud of you either way, but
Oh.
that makes it even better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
I didn't know you were going to be here.
I didn't know you were going to be here either. I'm kind of sad that we never talked back home now, but
Yeah.
it's good to see
Well,
you.
new beginnings, right?
Yeah, new beginnings. She gives you a little grin as you guys walk into a big open class in the West Wing. There are a lot of people in here who have like bits of practice armor on. Some people are wearing like full-on metal armor. A lot of people, there's like a bunch of weapons laid out on the ground, and then you see a tall, strong, athletic professor leading the class. Professor Arneas will guide you to heal people as needed. But for now we're going to move to Rosari's.
I would like to preface this by saying I don't like it when you have to skip me to pull in the cleric.
We'll see what happens, right?
I'm not a fan.
All right.
Of the trajectory this game is going.
First things first. This professor, she is tall, like 6'3". She has this greenish, almost a bluish tint to her skin. She's got long, fiery, curly, thick red hair that's pulled back right now. She's wearing some like metal armor. She's got a huge like lance at her side. And a lot of the weapons in here for just practice are dulled. So they're not going to be like, we're not cutting people open. We're just practicing and getting hits in. She's very athletic, very strong. She's standing at the front of the class with this by her side, looking at it, everyone. The clerics walk in, or at least, the people who are coming in to help heal. And she says, right, now that we can get this started. Welcome to class. I'm Professor Etrelval. If you have trouble saying that, you just call me Coach. I go by Coach a lot. Today, we're going to start going over some practice and some technique with, one-handed weapons. That's our specialty here. So, everybody grab a practice weapon. We're going to be splitting up into groups, and you guys are going to be jumping straight into it. So, first things first, go ahead, grab your weapons. Everybody get ready. But I'm going to go over a couple specific techniques with you guys that you're going to practice. Anybody want to volunteer to help me out? It is okay to be embarrassed sometimes. It's not that shameful to be beat by a professor.
I'm gonna assume that nobody really raises their hand, so I'm just gonna slowly put mine up, just because I want to test to see how strong is this person.
Yeah. And let me show you some of the other people in this class. She skipped the introductions, but you just see these people. There is that tan guy with the wavy brown hair. There's this quieter, small kid off to the side who you don't even think he's a fighter or a paladin. Actually, no, I lied. He's not here. I'm lying to you. And then there's also this very pious looking guy. He's got the blonde hair slicked back. He is wearing nicer armor that doesn't look like it's ever seen combat. He looks almost like nobility. That's the vibe he gives off. He's definitely wealthy, and he's definitely been formally trained at this point. You look at the other two, neither of their hands are up yet, and you start to raise your hand.
Coach, I can try.
Yes. Nice. Love to see it. She tosses her weapon down. She picks up one of the practice long swords, and she's like, this will do. All right. Come stand up here. And then the clerics begin to, like, get in position, and Leo, you and Lysilda are, like, standing off to the side watching. And Lysilda's like, she nudges your shoulder, and she's like, hey, isn't that one of your, like, party members that you were grouped up with?
It was, yes. He's good.
I hope so. This is going to be fun to watch. And you guys watch as Professor Etrelval lines you guys up together face to face. She's like, okay, I'm going to perform it first, explain it second, perform it again, yada yada. You get the idea. What's your name, kid?
Rosaris.
Rosaris. Cool. You're about to be very sorry. Go ahead, take a swing at me. Let's see what you got.
I'm gonna take a swing at her.
Cool. Make an attack roll with disadvantage.
Hey, Kieran, can you not curse my dice? That would be a nat 1 for disadvantage.
Love it. Okay.
It is really not good whenever I am facing someone so much better than me and still roll a nat 1.
Okay. You're gonna have to give me
Character
like
building.
5 seconds because
Oh,
I want to know the actual stats for her. I'm gonna pull up her character sheet.
While you're doing that, can I ask Leo something?
Sure, go for it.
Hey, Leo, in your interview, you said you had a necklace that was visible. Is that still visible?
It's under my scarf, but you could probably see it right underneath it.
I will say Leo is probably about to have to heal your ass, so you'll definitely see it here in just a second.
I'm concerned if I see it on his approach.
Yeah, so we'll roll that down to like maybe a perception check, and because it's pretty visible, it'll probably be a low DC, like 10 or something.
Okay.
And even if you don't
just
see
let me know if you want me to roll it.
Yeah. Etrelval is gonna roll to hit you, and that is a 27 to hit. I need you to make a strength saving throw.
Hey, Kieran, can you go away, please?
Is that another nat 1?
That is the second dice. I switched dice, and that is also a nat 1. I did get a 4. I have a +3.
I'm gonna put it together a compilation of just all the nat 1s because it's not just Kieran at this point; it's everybody.
I mean, I better keep track of it now.
I'm just gonna get rid of these 3 dice, and I'm gonna use some of the other dice now.
I think it's gotta be.
Biggity Spooty, I'm coming for that booty.
Oh, okay. Well, Etrelval, you go to take a swing at her, and with the utmost ease, like the other students in the class, Leo, you almost think she's like closing her eyes, and she grins as you go to take a swing, big forward slash, and she immediately like pops her sword up, hits your sword with it to block, and then smacks you in the hand, and you drop your sword, and she pushes and shoves you, and you're gonna take 6 points of bludgeoning damage as she pushes you and you fall to the ground and like skid backwards.
Oof.
I'm saying 6 points because I want to clarify that is only the modifier added to her damage. She did not actually hit you with her sword.
I'm going to reach down and pick up the sword and say, again.
Let me explain this first, and I'll gladly kick your ass twice. So, and she goes on and gives like a quick 1 minute description of like, so when you are fighting, one of the easiest things that you can do to secure yourself a win, it takes a lot of practice, but being able to efficiently disarm people is phenomenal. It's so worthy of attempting to do if you can pull it off. That she explains like the form that she's using and all that stuff, and she's like, you know, even if I explain it to you, it's still going to take a lot of practice. All right, Rosaris, again. Let's go. And she waits for you to attack.
I'm gonna attack again? Do I have disadvantage again?
Yes, she is taking the dodge action when you attack. She does explain to you guys that she is being patient and waiting for someone to attack her first and then doing this, which is why you have disadvantage.
14.
Not gonna do it. She's gonna attack you again, and that is going to be a 24.
What do you think?
Yeah, strength saving
Damn.
throw. And I lied. It's not a 24. You know what it is? It is a 29 because I forgot to add her superiority dice.
So she's a battle master. Got it. 17 for strength saving throw.
Cool. You do manage to save that time. I think her strength saving throw is it's like 8 plus 4 plus 3, so 15, I believe. Yeah, you succeed. She hits you in the hand, and you feel like that pain shoot up as you take another point of damage, but you do not let go of your sword. And she says, "Hey, look at that. We got some quick learners. Great. All right, listen, I'm noticing some like bruising and some blood here. You go on. You two," and she points at the other two, and she's like, "Pick up the swords. Let's run through it. You, Rosarius, go get healed." And she waves you away to go work with the other two, and you approach Lysilda and Leo you see over there. So if you want to go ahead and give me that perception roll, let's see if you notice his necklace. Is it a nat
Kieran.
one?
Aaron, can
Oh my
you
God.
go away?
Okay, no, fuck the dice. Leo, does he see the necklace? If we leave it up to rolls, nothing's ever going to happen in this campaign.
I mean, yeah, you can see it underneath of there. You may not be able to see all of it, but you can see that there's a necklace hanging under there.
Would I see the symbol?
You can see the bottom half of the symbol.
It's enough for you to recognize.
Okay.
You roughly know like a lot of the symbols to deal with religion, so it's not hard for you to deduce that. There's not any that look similar.
This is going to be fun for me. Leo, can you give me an insight check?
Sure.
If it's a nat one, we're ending the campaign right now.
Right now. 20.
Thank you.
Nice. As soon as Rosari sees it, you see the utmost disgust and just deep hatred. He does not show emotion very well, and half of his face is covered by his helmet, but the half you do see is more than enough to know that he has just seen something that he does not like, and he's going to turn and go to any other cleric that was in the class rather than you.
There are two
Lysilda.
other people. You could approach Lysilda, who's the girl that he's standing beside and like obviously was talking to, or there's that kid with like he looks like a high schooler with like freckles and shaggy brown hair like off to the side, like that scrawny kid.
Leo's going to real quick whisper in Lysilda's ear. It's because I'm an orc.
What?
He doesn't like me because I'm an orc.
Is he racist?
Except I'm not sure. He just always has this look whenever he comes towards me.
He might be racist.
That's what I'm thinking.
Do you go over to... Yeah, you go over to the other kid. Ornis heals you up. You can go back to full health, and he's like, "You did great out there, man. You tried your best."
Thank you. It wasn't enough, but thank you for the encouragement.
You go back and you watch the other two, and Lysilda's just like, "He didn't come off as like racist to me, but I mean, if he's doing that to you, I can't
sorry,
think.
Do you have green skin?
Yeah, that's
Look
what I'm
at me.
saying. It's
I
like he
stand
did-
out.
Yeah, you're like a big green thumb.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I guess. Are you gonna like confront him about it? Do you want me to confront him about it?
No, we don't have to do all that. He hasn't attacked me or anything.
All right. Well, if he does,
I did heal him one time. He knows I can do it.
If he does, you let me know.
Sure. I appreciate you.
Of course. I'll gladly beat someone's ass if they're racist.
Thank you, Lysilda.
Cool. And with that, we leave you guys. Other than Leo, Rosaries, and Gwen, who had the next highest D20 roll for our classes.
I have an 18.
Athera! Nice.
Yay.
All right, Athera. Let's go to your class. We're actually going to switch, and you guys are going to be down in Rorsch Plaza. All of the vast majority of Ranger and Druid classes take place on this little plaza, sort of like to the southwest of town. This is a rough map of some of the things that you would find there. It's got this nice, big, beautiful tree in the middle that you guys talked about, that petal blossom tree. It's got like a building for classrooms, some cabins, a couple offices, a large open area for stables, an archery range, some like practicing areas. For you, we're actually going to go to your wild shape class. First, I'll introduce you to your professors. One of the first ones is Professor Daynor Nathalay, who is a tall, almost like a gentle giant. She is a older looking furbolg. She's got some wrinkles on her skin. She's got long curly brown hair. But she has a lot of sort of almost animalistic features. She's got like this greenish gray skin, big like pink nose that's a little flatter, and it's got like larger nostrils, almost resembling like a cow. She's got some earrings in. She's wearing like very minimal clothing, but you have her for your druidic circles class, which is mostly just studying the different druid circles. But she seems very, very sweet, very calm, and very gentle, despite her huge, large stature. Your other professor is one fantastic Christoph Mineo. This wild, eccentric, weird guy who you guys have wild shape together. You guys are all down at this plaza. I'm going to show you some of the other, students that are here with you. So we have this guy named Leofric, who looks a little like preppy and almost like snobby, I guess. We have this really pretty girl named Gwanlyn. And then we have this guy named Teddy, who seems very, very shy. He just sort of sits in the back. Professor Mineo starts like looking at all of you guys, and he's like, all right, some of you are going to fail at this, and that is totally okay, because this is not something that just happens. This is something that you got to practice at. And listen, I'm so excited to see you get halfway there, because this is going to be like, this is the most fun part of the year for me. So I'm Professor Mineo. Great to meet you guys. We'll do name stuff at some point, but first things first, have any of you ever turned into animals before? No. Great. Starting fresh. You love to see it. He starts like looking at you guys, pacing up and down a little bit, acting like super, I'm a professor. And he's like, so here is the deal. We are going to channel some of your druidic magic to attune with nature and transform into some of the various beasts that you might have encountered throughout the lands. Typically, it is restricted to things that you have interacted with in person, and it takes some effort to do. Not everyone can do it well. I don't think any of you can do it well yet, but we're going to give it a shot. So, here's what I want you guys to do. Pick an animal, focus on it, close your eyes. Channel some of that magic, like you're messing with plants or you're talking to animals or anything like that. And then, boom, suddenly you're a bird or a seal or, I don't know, a raccoon. Whatever you want to be. Go for it. You got it. And then he turns into a cat and just sits there and like licks his paw. And he looks at you guys. You watch as Leofric, this guy over here, tells you guys, he's like, well, I suppose I'm going to give it a shot. He closes his eyes, focuses for a minute. You see a little bit of fur start to form like on his arms and the gaps of his clothes. He opens his eyes and you see like cat pupils right there. His face starts to transform a little bit and he just goes, and he like falls backwards and transforms into a cat with like very strange proportions, and he just like flops onto the ground and he's sitting there and he just goes meow. And he kind of does it. He kind of succeeds. The awkward shy guy Teddy is in the back. He's trying but struggling. Like a little bit of fur will start to appear, his hands start to turn into claws, but he does not change. The other girl in here, Gwanlyn, she looks at you and she's like, so what animal are you going to try to be?
Um, I think I might try a wolf.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good choice. That's a big task. I don't think I could do that. I'm gonna start small. I'll let you help me pick. Should I do like a spider or like a squirrel?
I like squirrels.
Squirrels are good. Cool. All right. Well, good luck. And she sort of takes a couple steps to the side, sets her staff down on the ground, and focuses very hard and starts thinking. As she's doing that, how does Athera operate?
She's just gonna kind of stand there. She'll close her eyes, and I believe I'm probably gonna hate going for this. I have seen dire wolves before.
Yeah, for sure.
So she's going to like recall like that core memory and try to shape into a direwolf.
Sure. And now that you are level 2, you can do that, right?
Yeah, I can.
Just for the sake of, keeping you on track with the other students, go ahead, give me a... I'm going to call it a spell attack roll, because this is based off of your wisdom, but you are proficient with it. Just give me a spell attack roll. Let's see what you get. If it's super, super low, you might struggle with this. If it's high, you do it without issue.
Okay. It's a 9.
A 9. You struggle at first. You watch as Gwanlyn off to the side, like, slowly her body starts to just pop into different proportions as she turns into a squirrel. You don't get it for a couple of seconds. Like, you try it and you feel like a couple parts of your body start to shift, but then it feels weird and you stop. But you start trying again and you feel confident that, like, if you push through it, you could get it. Do you want to sort of, like, play it very, very safe and not attempt it, or do you want to go all out?
I'm in it now. I'm going all out.
Cool. You push past that, like, initial almost like fear of doing something new, and if you want to describe it, I'll let you, but yeah, you successfully turn into a direwolf.
Cool. I think as it like happens and I like land on all fours, I kind of just like sit there and kind of like and look down. I see my paws and I just like kind of take it in. I'm like, this is new, but I kind of like this. This feels oddly comfortable.
Yeah, the senses are completely different. Like, you're not used to smell being your primary sense, but you can like smell the entire forest around you. You can smell the plaza, just a couple 100 feet that way. As you're sitting there, like, taking in these senses, Leofric's like half messed up cat with like a weirdly buff arm and like a human finger walks up to you and it just goes meow. And then
I'm gonna go.
He shifts back and sort of like dust off his clothes, and he looks at you and he's like, I would make fun of you for showing off, but honestly, this is quite impressive. Good choice.
I'll just kind of like nod.
He walks over to Professor Mineo, who shifts back, and Professor Mineo's just like, wow, kid, all right, we might have a prodigy on our hands. All right, everybody back to your human forms, and everybody like shifts back. Teddy never got it. Like, he kept struggling, but he couldn't do it. He says, all right, well, you guys did it successfully. So, like, that's all we have. Don't even show up to class tomorrow. Like, you got it. Go practice, obviously, but don't do it in your dorm room. Please do not do it in your dorm room. Go into the forest, turn into an animal, turn right back. Can't have this happen again. Anyway, you, starts with an A.
Athera?
Athera, that's your name. I knew that. I was gonna get there. Hey, so question. You're in the Druidic Circles class, right? With Professor Nalithe. I know you guys have just started, but you should really pay attention to the Circle of the Moon, because people who are really, really good at wild shape typically end up being Circle of the Moon. Like, it's more of a gift than it is a choice. So,
Thank you.
if you want to follow that, I'm just going to let you know. I do have call it an exclusive club, but I have some upperclassmen students who are in it, 2 or 3. who are also Circle of the Moon, who helped me research Wild Shape and try to push the limits, dare I say. So if you choose it and you want to be in it, and he sort of like bumps your shoulder a little bit.
Kind of like recoils from the shoulder bump a bit.
I'm going to take that as a yes. Cool. I will see you next week. And then he starts heading off and just walking.
As he's walking away, I'm going to whisper to myself, wait, did he even say where that meets?
As you say that to yourself and you think, first of all, no, he did not. Second of all, who got the next highest D20 roll?
I got a 14. You
14?
even higher than that?
I don't think so. All right, Kieran, let's go to class.
Oh boy, I'm going to class.
Yeah, where is your video? There it is. All right, yours is going to be kind of interesting.
Where am I?
So we got Rosari's done. The first one, I'll give you the class that we're not going to have anything happen with. You have Professor... he tells you it's pronounced Narath or Narath. He does not care. He tells you guys that you're going to be focusing on studying just like how to effectively move about in combat, like how to perform actions while also not subconsciously, but like multitasking essentially. He seems like a very almost devil may care type, like a little too chill for his own good. Seems very like mischievous and cunning. Definitely like to compare him to like a fictional character, he almost seems like a Loki figure. Like he's definitely got that vibe to him, where he's the kind of person who would pull pranks on people. So that's Professor Narath. He is teaching your cunning actions class, but you also have Professor Gilnick, who I definitely want to introduce you to. She is a treat. If I can find her. Here she is. So you walk into your Code of Thieves class, which you probably don't even know what that is. You're like, the Code of Thieves? I thought thieves didn't really have a code. I don't know. This is weird. As you begin to walk into the class, there are a couple other students who are walking in. Professor Gilnick, this goblin woman, is at the door, and she's like shaking the other student's hand, and she's like, hi, nice to meet you. And she shakes your hand as you walk in, and she introduces herself, and she's like, I'm Professor Gilnick. You are?
I'm Kieran. Pleasure.
Kieran, Professor Gilnick, Kieran. Nice. She shakes your hand, lets you in. Some of the other students file in. You got the pictures over there, but I'll still describe it. You have a sort of like blonde dwarf who looks, fairly handsome. He's got like the scruff on his face. He's got like the long blonde hair. You have a very feline person in the class. A girl with like this sort of pale tan fur with some like black markings in it. You have a wood elf girl, very, very fair skin, green eyes, very pretty. And then a short little gnomish girl with fiery red hair and like red and gold on her clothes. All of them also walk in and say hi to Professor Gilnick as you guys sit down. Everybody sits in the class, and as Gilnick shuts the door and is like walking back through like that center aisle, because there's only a couple tables in here, she says, yes, hello, class. I am Professor Gilnick. It is very nice to meet you all. And as she's walking, she's like putting stuff on the table. Give me a perception check.
Oh boy, let's go.
Give me another nat one, please.
I got a 15 actually.
A 15. Nice.
Yeah, it's better than that one.
All right, cool. You didn't notice. As she's walking, she's like, I'm Professor Gilnick. We're gonna be in, the Code of Thieves class. We cover the thief language, but also like the rules and things that we must follow as thieves. And as she's walking back up, she sets down your coin purse with your 100-something gold in it that she took off of your person as you were entering the class. She sets it down in front of you. You look across the room and you see that she had stolen items from every student who walked in and just set them back in front of them. So she walks up to the front of the class, like hops up on the table, and she's at the front, and she's like, so, first lesson today is at the school. We do not steal from people. You may borrow, you may not steal. So, I borrowed from you guys, I gave it back. Good lesson. Any questions?
Violated, but not violated. Interesting.
I'm sorry. It is just part of the lesson. I do not change it from year to year. I've had a couple people catch me and think that it was bad, but you do not steal from people. We keep our hands to ourselves.
I do have a question about that.
Yes.
Are we allowed to swindle people?
Define swindle.
You know, make them feel like they weren't scammed, but very much scam them.
If they choose to give you something, they chose to give it to you.
Wonderful. I like the way you say that.
I don't.
Continue.
Okay. So to continue, and then she goes and talks about how it's a dual class. You have both the thieves' cant language that your guys are going to cover of like common symbols and meanings behind words like double entendres, but also, again, with thieves with these capabilities, you have to take some responsibility. So she tells like you that you're going to cover like different scenarios where sometimes it's okay to steal from people, sometimes it's not, at least in some moral regards. And she just continues talking to you guys. You get a feel for the other students in the class. And that's about it for you. All right, Kieran or Marcel, who got higher?
Higher what?
That D20 roll at the beginning.
Oh, I got 4.
Damn. Lucian?
2.
That's crazy.
Yeah, definitely lower.
Yeah. So, Marcel, let's get you in here. Come on in.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you. I was waiting for it.
You're so welcome. So Marcel, you are in the Warlock classes. Not a very, I'm not going to say popular, but not a very populated class. There are only 2 other students in your Warlock classes, which they're going to be in both. And just to give you 2 of the classes that you're in, the first professor that you have is Professor Malik. He is this blue tiefling guy. He's definitely one of the younger professors. He's got, the like curly, dark blue hair. He's got horns coming up on the side of his head. He seems very chill, very calm. Like, you guys get along pretty well. His class just seems like you guys are sitting there talking and having a conversation. But he makes sure that, hey, we're talking about packs and their weight. So he's going to bring up a lot of scenarios where it's like we're reading the fine lines. We're talking about how to see wordplay and things like that, which it's a little late for you guys to fix, but you can at least understand, how packs work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he seems very suave, very cool, very, very chill professor. The other one is Professor Talanch. She is this, which I don't know if I showed you, Professor Malik. Hopefully I did.
Huh?
But Professor Talanch seems almost like the opposite. She is very to the point, we're here for a class, let's get this done. She's, about 5'6". She's got long dark hair, bright red lipstick. Her makeup looks really good. Like, it looks like she's dressed up like a business vibe. So she talks to you guys and she tells you, listen, you never have to tell each other what your patrons are if you don't want to. That is not the purpose of this class. But in this class, Patrons of the World, we are going to study the various known patrons, some of their qualities that most of the warlocks under them share. Obviously, each person is going to be different and their power is going to manifest in different ways, but we're studying the general classifications. Sir, I need you not to sleep in class.
Sorry.
She continues talking, and then the kid beside you, Ravik, with like the blonde hair, he looks very, almost like Prince Charming-esque. He's like got a big smile. He's got like the hair curl up here, like Superman style. He leans over and bumps you on the shoulder, and he's just like, total snooze fest, right?
Yeah.
I don't watch. She's probably gonna pull out some typical move of like, "Oh, you have 3 pages of homework due by the next class." As he says that, she glares at you guys, and he shuts up, and she says, "And speaking of studying the different patrons, to start the class, since Ravik here was so kind to mention it, you do have an assignment before our first official class. You guys have a textbook. You are to write a 5-sentence, at least, summary of each of the known patrons. Describe them, give me some of the examples of their powers and ways that those typically manifest, and turn that in before class next week. Any questions?"
None, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. We will end class early. You can go get this homework done soon. Thank you for your time. And everybody leaves. The girl sticks back and she like walks up to ask Professor a question, and it sounds like they talk a little bit as you head out, and Ravik's walking beside you, and he's like, "So listen, my brother, he's also a student here, and he told me that she is like one of the harder professors to take. You want to help each other with this homework?"
Yeah, definitely, man.
Sure. What you guys keep walking, and he asks you like what room you live in. He's gonna set up a time for you guys to meet and just like do the homework together and kind of cheat off of each other. But hey, it's just a study group, right?
Yeah, it's just a study group.
Just a study group.
Only we had fantasy Quizlet.
Wouldn't that be nice? This episode's sponsored. No, it's not. Yeah, and you head out. You meet Ravik. He introduces himself, and you guys leave to set up a time to do that.
Yeah.
And our last one, Lucian.
All right.
So Lucian, you're a wizard student. The classes for wizards are, of course, not only just more in number, but they're also just more work, because wizards love homework, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
Cool. Glad that you agreed with that, because you definitely have some homework here. You have 4 NPCs that are going to be in your like main wizard classes, one of which you've never seen before. You have Simon, Nelvin, and Billy, of course, but you also have this elven girl with white hair. She's got bright blue eyes. She wears like dark makeup, dark clothes. She doesn't seem to like really talk to people very much, but she is in the class. You guys go to your first class with Professor Gilla Hornblower. She is a halfling wizard who looks like she has absolutely zero patience, and that you are going to... You, out of all people, would maybe like her a little bit more, but to the average person, this is the teacher they would hate. This is like the math teacher that you just could not stand. She has like a grating voice that you like just don't enjoy. She is very strict and stern in her class. She gives a lot of work. She expects very highly of her students, and in that way, she is a good professor. But also, if you make any sort of mishap, if you don't do assignments or you don't live up to her standards, she's going to be on your ass. So that's your first class. You have spellcasting components with her. It's a very like rigorous, I need you to memorize all of these spell components and their applications by next week. Like, it's tough. The next one is magical language, which is where you guys are studying the creation of like scrolls, how spell books work, and stuff like that. You have with Professor Aldwin, who is not a wizard professor. She clarifies at the beginning, like, I am a sorcerer. However, I'm a very well-studied sorcerer, so Professor Barron asked me to teach this class because he thinks that I'm very fit for it. She's like 6'1". She's got bronze skin, very thick, like golden hair. She just looks almost unreal. Like, you see her and you're like, her qualities are almost elven, where they're that very elegant and sleek look, but she's definitely not elven. She's a human. But yeah, she seems very, nicer and kinder, but she's also a very good professor where she's like, hey, we're not going to goof off in this class. We're going to learn and get stuff done. And then your last professor, who I'm so excited to introduce you to, is Professor Vera Neralne. She's a ghost. I don't think I need to describe her much more than that. She is literally, like, partially real. She has long, dark hair. She's got the pale skin. She starts class by, like, sort of spooking everyone. And you notice that Simon, Nelvin, and Billy, like, are very, very, like, spooked when she walks through one of the walls. And they, like, lose their shit. But the girl with white hair, who you would have found out her name is Cilia by this point, she just looks unfazed and sort of, like, waves at the professor from the back of the room. The professor...
Honestly, that's very, very convenient. I need to learn that.
Professor Neralnik comes in. She, like, casts Mage Hand and slams a book on the table, and she says, "All right, class, we are starting to learn the schools of arcane magic. Does anyone here think that they will not live up to the standard of daily homework assignments and large pop quizzes and tests? No? Fantastic. With that, we can actually start the class. I really like to spook people when class starts. You know, the whole ghost thing, it kind of throws some people off. I saw you," and she points to Simon, and Simon's like, "Yeah, sorry, I was very confused. I didn't realize that you were a ghost. No one warned me about that." And she's like, "No, it's totally fine. It's a long story. I'm not gonna bore you guys with the details, but yeah, like the whole like long white dress, the flowy hair. I just like to mess with people. Anyway, so in this class, we are going to talk about a couple of very important things at any given point throughout this class. If you can pass the final exam over the various schools of magic, their categorizations, and the where theoretical spells would even fit within those categories, you can finish the class. You can test out. As a matter of fact, Cilia, would you like to test out? And Cilia just goes, "No, that's fine. I figured I'd stay in." And Professor Naldi goes, "Sure, by all means. If you have anybody who would like to audit this class, I'm fine with that. But just know that I will move at a very steady pace because of the ability to test out. If you miss anything, you're free to ask me for help. You have the textbook and all of those things. But let's just start with an assessment, like a placement test. Would someone mind helping me pass out these tests?" And throughout the rest of the class, whoever volunteers, you pass out a couple of tests. Give me an Arcana check. See how well you remember the classifications of spells.
10 plus 7, 17.
17 is pretty good. For the most part, you're doing pretty good. A lot of the known spells, especially the ones that are familiar to you, like maybe first, second, or third level, you're like, oh yeah, I just have these based on memorization alone. Then it gets into that theoretical situation where it's like, not only spells that don't exist, but like, if a spell could do this, what classification would it be? But once it starts getting into like graviturgy, chronomancy, and things like that, you start to sort of like slip a little bit to where you would pass this test, you would not ace it. So she takes those up and she says, "So listen, I'll grade those later. This is just a starting point to see what we all need to focus on. If everybody is very familiar with illusion spells, for example, we don't have to study illusion. We're fine with that. But that's good enough for today. You guys go study what you think you need after that test. And I will see you guys next week. It's good to see you, Cilia." And she gives a wave and then phases through the wall and disappears. And you're left sitting there in that room with the other 4 NPCs. Billy looks over at you and he's just like, "Hey, you think you did good on that test?"
I probably did okay. I'm sure I missed a lot of things, you know.
Listen, I cannot do enchantment magic. It's just not my forte. I just don't get it. He turns over to look, and then he looks at his other 2 friends, and then looks over at the girl with like the white hair pulled up in a bun. He's just like, "So you're Cilia. Nice to meet you, Cilia. I'm Billy. Hopefully we'll get very well acquainted. How do you think you did?" Cilia, like with her head in her hand, just kind of goes, I think I got them all right. I don't think I missed any." Billy just looks at her and he goes, "Wow, very confident. Hopefully that's not ill-placed. Anyway, we're gonna go do something cooler than this. Lucian, do you want to come?
Really, I find it very, very weird that you just aren't good at enchantment magic. I mean, you're just very enchanting. It seems like your specialty.
Lucian, we're in a classroom. Wow. Thank you, but I'm gonna have to pass on your advances. It's just I have the least practice with it. Evocation is my specialty.
I'll catch up with you guys in just a moment. I'll be right behind you, okay?
Sure, you know where to find us. Wink. He audibly says as he gets up and the other two follow them out.
I'm gonna look at Cilia and just regard her for a moment, and then I'm gonna kind of say, "So you know her, huh?"
She
Professor.
leans back in her chair and she's like putting up some of her books in her bag and she says, "Yeah, I'm very familiar with a lot of the professors here. I've visited the school quite a few times."
Well, what made you become a student then?
Well, call it obligation. Felt like I kind of had to. You know, a lot of good wizards come out of this place.
I feel that.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's good to meet you, Lucian. I'll catch you later in class, hopefully. And she puts her bag on her back, and then you see her turn invisible and leave the class.
That was cool. I'll get up and I guess go follow wherever Billy and them went.
Sure. You wander back to Sarosh Hall and find them wherever they may be. There's only one other thing that happens today, and I'm going to pull good old Gwenifer in here. Not her name at all, but I'm just going to make a new one up every single time. Gwen, you know how I introduced you to Professor Ranth, correct? She actually is going to pull you after class and ask you to stay for just a moment to talk to you about something. So you stay after class for just a second. She pulls you to the side and she says, "Hey, so, I wanted to ask you a question. I know you're in the group that won the scavenger hunt, so I feel like you would be the right person to ask for this. Have you talked to your roommate since you've been, since you guys finished the scavenger hunt?" I'm sorry, what? I couldn't hear you.
Fuck. I didn't know I was muted. No, not since we finished.
Oh, well, I mean, that makes sense. So, there's a bit of an issue that happened around campus. It's just, since you guys are exempt from the, homeroom stuff in the mornings, I figured you might ask your group if they want to help you with something, but, your roommate, Delphina, and, some boy went out into the forest during the scavenger hunt. I don't want to know why. And they were injured, and they came back, and, you know, they weren't participating really at all. So we assumed that they got hurt in that, but they told us that they actually got attacked by animals out in the woods. If you don't mind, could you go talk to them, see what the situation is, and then report back to me and potentially go take care of it?
You want me to talk to those two people
Yeah.
about it?
Just to see
Alright.
what they said, what animals it was. If it's anything super bad, I'll just go handle it myself. But if it's nothing crazy, I might ask you and your friends to go, on a little side
Okay.
adventure.
Yeah, if I can find them. Sure.
Sure. Well, I mean, she should be back in class and fine at this point. She was in the nurse's office yesterday after the whole situation just to make sure that she healed properly and all of those things. But yeah, if you see her tonight, ask her about it. And then if you want to talk to your friends and, you could go anytime this weekend, but the sooner the better.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. Let me know if you find anything out. And she will
Of course,
leave
I
you
will.
to your things. So Professor Rant gives you that little extracurricular mission, And with that, we are done.
Word.
Cool. Ending kind of early. Anything else that we didn't talk about or do that you guys want to handle really quick?
We're level 3 now, right?
Funny guy.
Perfect. Wait, so that was a yes.
No. You will be
I'm
level
charming,
3.
but not that charming.
You'll be level 3 in like 10 sessions.
Jesus.
I'm
It's a
kidding. It's not
long
that bad.
time.
But for example, like you guys went to classes, or anything you guys might want to do later that day. Obviously, Gwen's going to talk to Delphina, but we're going to do that next time. Anybody else have anything they want to do around campus or anything small really quick?
I do want to talk to Denny at some point.
Sure.
I've
Let's,
got a little thing Kieran wants to do over the next week.
Sure, we'll get to that here in just a second. Later that day, Lucian, you get back to your classroom, and I'm going to pull you up on the one-on-one. You go to talk to your roommate, Denny. I'm going to pull his picture up really quick so we have this little visual thing. And just as a reminder, Denny is an Owlin arcane caster of some sort. You're not sure what, but he's got the like off tan feathers with like the white face. Later that night, you come into your room. He sees you and gives you like a little nod and leaves you to your thing. Obviously, like that, setting up the alarm spell, he gets the boundary. So he walks over to his side, starts pulling up a book and like sitting in his chair and like reading and taking notes on his desk.
I don't cast the alarm spell tonight, actually, yet at least.
Yeah, he's just still
What
thinking
I'm
about
gonna
it from the
do-
previous day.
I'm going to grab kind of my, high-backed chair or mid-backed chair, and I'm gonna sit in it backwards and just kind of rest my head on my hands and just look at him for a moment.
He's kind of like in this book, doesn't really look up from it much, but he rolled pretty decent on his perception check. So out of the corner of his eye, he sort of sees you looking at him, and he looks up and gives you a smile and a nod, and then continues writing.
Denny,
Hey, yeah, what's up?
I'm very curious about you. I'm sorry. I haven't introduced myself very well, and I haven't asked you any questions, but we do share a room together, so I feel that it might be important for me to just ask. What's your story?
Yeah, sure, yeah, no worries. Could you be a little more specific? What do you mean my story?
Well, you have a lot of, I don't want to say expensive things, but they kind of look expensive. Like, do you come from nobility?
Kind of. That kid that I was in here the other day with, the blonde guy, Sivik.
Of course.
So he and I are kind of brothers. I was adopted by his family, and they are nobles. So I was very well taken care of, and I have plenty of things to my name. They're very good people, though.
Right. He seems a little demanding.
Sivik does?
It's a little. I haven't seen much of him, but
Oh, he was
kind of drags you around.
No, I'm not very social, and he sort of, helps introduce me to people and do things that I normally wouldn't do, which I appreciate a lot. But no, I'm sorry if he came off as sort of weird the other day. He was homeschooled because his parents are nobles, and he, didn't interact with a lot of people until I was brought into the family. Not too long ago, just a couple years ago. So, yeah, I'm trying to help him out. I'm trying to get him to chill out a little bit. He's just trying to make like a very cool first impression at the school, I guess.
Well, my assumptions were much worse than that. I thought you were in a situation that might not have been pleasant for you, but I'll take your word for it. And if you ever feel like you want to talk about something, I'm not the biggest fan of having deep conversations like this. And he squeams a little bit. But if you want to talk, I mean, we're roommates after all.
And same to you. I appreciate that. But no, Sivik is he's been my best friend for a long time. He's a very good guy. He's just a little awkward at first. Coming from a noble family where he didn't get to interact too much with normal people, coming to this school, he tried to start fresh and be one of the guys, as he said.
Well, those guys aren't always the guys to be a part of.
Yeah,
Just be careful.
I will. Don't worry. I steered Sivik clear of Billy and his group.
I noticed you weren't in any of the first year classes. Are you taking something else?
Oh, I'm I'm not a wizard. I know this is like the wizard building, but sorcerers and warlocks exist too. I apparently have some innate abilities. So
On which side of that?
the sorcerer side.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, don't worry. I don't go around making deals all the time. But
I didn't know if I had to be worried. I didn't
No,
want to turn into fire in the middle of the night.
I appreciate wizards for sure. I think the study is good, and I practice reading a lot. But no, I got some sorcerer stuff in me.
Alright, well, I'll leave you to the studies. I have my own to do tonight. And Lucian will stand up and he'll look at Denny, then look back to his side of the room, smile a little bit, and then kind of as sarcastically as he can do, cast alarm.
Just like, oh goodness, I gotta place this wire down. Denny chuckles a little bit, and he continues his reading and his work.
The only thing only other noise that he'll hear for the rest of the night is the Quill obnoxiously writing that whole conversation down word for word.
For sure. I like it. Cool. Lucian got to talk to his roommate. Kieran, you said you had something you wanted to do like the rest of the week.
Yeah, Kieran starting to think about ways to articulate his words better. So he's gonna write a little poem about the Kada that he met.
All right.
Yes.
I will say you can definitely get that done tonight. Obviously you could make amendments to it and change it whenever you want, but that's not something that you would need to spend necessarily all week on.
Okay, but yeah, he'll take a day or so to do it.
Yeah, I like it. Good stuff.
There was one thing I was wondering if I could meet anybody else from Kata's party, especially if it's like a martial character that I could train with.
I will say
They're getting mixed up still, right?
Yeah, I'll say you ask Kata about it, and she tosses some names your way. She's like, you don't want to talk to Larik. Your roommate Pietro's kind of a dick. I wouldn't worry about him.
Yeah, I might kill him instead of train with him.
Martial people, though, and she starts to think a little bit, and she's like, there was Beatrice, the Dragonborn. I think she's actually a paladin. She might have been in one of your classes today. And then Thatch was interesting. He's not a martial, but
was he the one on the dragon?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
They clicked so fast.
Fair enough.
Anyways,
But yeah, I'll look out for Beatrice then.
yeah, if you see her, tell her I sent her your way. She's super friendly. She will probably hug you as soon as you meet.
That's why y'all are friends. Got it.
I like her. She's gonna be
Maybe.
good for you.
Sure.